Oral tests, cadences. In your oral tests, you will be listening for a cadence, the chord progression, the two chords at the end of your extract of music. You will need to identify what the cadence is. There are 4 different cadences: perfect, plagal, imperfect, and interrupted. You need to think of the chords in numbers, going up the scale, up the degrees of the scale. So for example, if we were in C major and you were singing a scale, C would be number 1, D would be 2, E would be 3, F would be 4, G would be 5, A would be 6, B would be 7, and then C would be 8. So you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the same with the chords in the scale. So chord 1 of C major is a C chord. Chord 2 is D. Chord 3 is E. Chord 4 is F. Chord 5 is G. Chord 6 is A. Chord 7 is B. And chord 8 is back to C. Thinking about the chords as numbers, degrees of the scale, will help you work out the cadences. So let's go through the cadences individually. The first one, perfect. A perfect cadence sounds quite bright and happy, and we normally find these in pop songs. This is chord 5 to chord 1. So if we stay in C major, your chord 5 would be G, and your chord 1 would be C. So it sounds like this. If we're in C major, this is chord 1, this is chord 5, and chord 1. So that cadence is perfect. It sounds finished. Next, let's move on to plagal. So plagal is chord 4 to chord 1, and it's quite commonly used in hymns, in sacred music. So if we stay in C major, our chord 4 would be F, and our chord 1 would be C. So our cadence still sounds finished, but it sounds a little bit less bright. So here it is again, chord 4 to chord 1, plagal cadence. Next, let's move on to imperfect. So imperfect is chord 1 to chord 5. Here it is. So if we're in C major, that's chord C to chord G. That sounds quite unfinished. Sounds like there needs to be something else that happens afterwards. Have another listen. So that's imperfect. The final one, interrupted, goes from chord 5 to chord 6, and it sounds like this. And that sounds a little bit unexpected, a little bit spooky, because the last chord, chord 6, is a minor chord. So you should be able to tell the difference between imperfect and interrupted by listening to whether the last chord is major or minor. So they both sound quite unfinished, but the difference is, in imperfect, from chord 1 to 5, the last chord is major. In interrupted, which still sounds unfinished, the last chord is minor. So if we're in C major, your interrupted cadence, chord 5 to chord 6, is a chord G, then a chord A. Here it is again for you. So here's our C major, and then here's our chord 5 to 6. Okay, here are some practice cadences for you to work out. So here's your key chord, we'll stay in C major, and here's your cadence. I'll play it again. Okay, let's have another go now. Here's a different cadence. Here's your key chord of C major, and here's your cadence. I'll play it again. Here's another one for you to practice now. Here's the key chord of C major, and here's your cadence. Here it is again. And one last one. Here's your key chord, and here's your cadence. Here it is again. Here are some versions in some other keys now, so you get used to listening to different keys. So here we are in D major. Here's a cadence for you to try. Here it is again. Let's try another cadence in D major now. So here's your key chord of D, and here's your cadence. Here it is again. Okay, let's try another key now. Let's have A major. So here's your key chord. So that's your chord of A. And here's your cadence. Here it is again. And your last one, again in A major, here's your key chord, and here's your cadence. Here it is again. Keep practicing with these. As you get more used to listening to the differences, it will help you with your oral tests.